Disclaimer: I am not a mechanic, AMP, AMT, AME. I am not a CFI, CFII. I think you get the point. If you have any questions, concerns, or etc., seek the advice of experts. I am a private pilot who owns a plane and is trying to give back to the aviation community by sharing my own experience in aircraft ownership. Please refer to your aircraft's POH, as every aircraft is different. And remember, we're all in this together, so be safe out there.
As we drive to the airport, I want to just remind everybody that every plane is very different. And check your POH. There is going to be a section there that will describe what you need to do to make sure that you are able to clean your aircraft in a safe way. Probably not driving and talking and on the phone. But no, seriously. Every POH has it in there. Look through it. If you don't see it, ask a CFI or mechanic, preferably. But make sure that you look through there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you on my plane what I do, but everybody and every plane is different. So make sure you take the time to check out your POH to make sure that you are doing the right thing for your aircraft. Welcome to part 2 of how to wash your plane. I know this sounds kind of crazy to some, but personally, when I purchased an aircraft, I was totally clueless on what to use. So if you haven't watched part 1 of this video, make sure to go back. I'm going to leave it in the links. I'm going to do the little box at the upper right or somewhere on the screen, which you can click and see what I'm using to clean my plane. You don't have to get super fancy, but if you do, the sky's the limit. So I'll show you what I do as far as tips and tricks, what to avoid, what to make sure you concentrate on while you're flying or cleaning your aircraft, and some of the things that might help you make this job a little bit easier. So let's get started. All right, so the first thing I want to point out is, and I did this before, I'm going to be humble enough to admit it, make sure everything's closed. So in the Piper, what happened with me is, you see that little window over there? I left that open and sprayed water in there and got the interior pretty wet. So I had started washing the plane, getting all into it, and sure enough, my interior is wet because the water flowed in from that side and it was quite nasty. So anything that's baggage compartment, anything that you don't want to get wet, make sure it's closed. Fuel tanks, make sure those things are battened down correctly. Make sure your engine cowling is secure and no water will go in there. So pretty simple. Just the first thing you want to do is walk around your aircraft and make sure that everything is secured that should be secured. You're usually going to be using a water hose, right? So you're going to be squirting all types of stuff. Anytime you see an air inlet, and this is for any plane, make sure you don't squirt in there. Spray around it. Usually up top, I let the water kind of come down and then I scrub, but I don't shoot the hose directly in there. That's a bad idea. I always clean the wheels, struts, so on and so forth. Nothing too crazy here. Whenever I'm washing the plane, just washing it with the soap and water. I use just 100% cotton cloth. However, when you go through and if you do any type of after detail work like that spray stuff that waxes or whatnot, just be aware that there may be some of that residue that gets into your brakes. So when you are taxiing, make sure you have all that off by testing your brakes before you taxi. It's supposed to be in almost every single checklist I know out there, but just make sure you have that off because when you start the engine there, you want to make sure that you're not moving when you don't want to move. Next thing is, don't get excited with the hose and spray your engine. That's a bad idea. Keep these things closed. If you do want to clean out your engine, just use a rag and make sure that you wipe off all the oil, and that's pretty much all you want to do with that. Do not spray inside the cowling here. I just spray all around here, and I make sure that I don't spray directly into the engine. Again, on the other side of the plane, most every plane out there has a stall horn of one way or another, unless it's an older aircraft, so you don't have anything to worry about. But any type of orifice you don't want to spray into, with the pipers, you have the pitot and the static source in the same thing. Most aircraft have that separate, but anything that looks like a hole or an orifice in an aircraft, you don't want to be spraying into. Lights, same thing. Any type of lights, wingtip lights, you don't want to spray directly into. A little bit of soap will get in there, but that's not to worry. That will dry out eventually. And I'll show you how to recondition these. I'm letting it get a little bit worse before I make a video on there, but there is a simple way to recondition these things and make them look sparkly. When you're washing, make sure that you wash the top and make sure you spend the extra energy and time to get the bottom too. And the reason that is that you've got pretty much just as much surface area underneath as you do on top. So you want to make sure you spend the time to get under that plane and wash it pretty good. I recommend actually going to Harbor Freight or a store that has full masks. So I wear goggles and a full mask, and I just get under there and scrub. I do the same thing with the fuselage. I go under there and I scrub, and I have that mask on me so all that junk doesn't fall back in my face. In the rear of a plane, especially the Pipers here, just because I have one that I can show you, you have a large orifice right here that you can't see it, but what's going on, yep, there we go, is that goes all the way through the plane. So if you spray in there, you're spraying directly into the aircraft. So make sure that you're not spraying in there. Another rule of thumb that I like to follow is that after every flight, I like to wipe down at least the edge, the leading edge of my wings to get all that bug junk off, and then usually the front of the plane, right in that front part of the cowling, because quite a bit of bug juice goes on there. And that will allow me to space out the full washings a little bit more. So do that. And number two, whenever you get an annual, make sure to wash your plane. What it does is it allows you a chance to touch pretty much every surface on the aircraft, interior and exterior, because you definitely want to do that interior as well. And what I've noticed is that mechanics are responsible for taking apart basically the entire plane, putting it back together. And mechanics are human, right? They do their best. However, you'll notice when you do a washing after an annual that you'll sometimes touch, especially screws around your aircraft that haven't been tightened all the way, or they've just kind of knocked loose when you've flown back. So if you do it right after an annual, you'll get a chance to touch the entire aircraft, and wiping all of this stuff, you'll feel any type of screws that are loose on there. And I recommend doing a full wash on there, a full interior, so you can go over the entire plane, and then wiping off the oil in the engine, making sure that you don't do anything too crazy in the engine compartment, other than just wiping it off with a nice cloth, all of your cylinders and the parts that have the oil on there. So that way you've got full confidence that everything is on the plane that it should be, it's nice and clean, and everything is tightened down. So when you're washing windows, especially when you have plastic windows here, make sure you go up and down, not a circular motion. A lot of people want to go circular on these things, and what happens is eventually over time it will create a weird glare. You'll have circles, as you can kind of see when I get it in the light. There are little tiny streaks down there, and that's totally normal, and it's totally fine, but make sure that those streaks are going down. They're vertical streaks, right? So if you have circles on there, especially in your front windshield, it will mess with your eyes and it will ruin a windshield. So again, like always, I recommend water. And with this, the type of towel would be the microfiber. It's the best one. Most of the time I just use water and a microfiber. Or you can use, make sure A, it's aviation, B, it's for windows, and you want to get the stuff that's for plastic and glass. So make sure above anything else that whatever you choose, you're going up and down with it. So avoid those circles, go up and down. For the interior of the aircraft, there's a few things that I would recommend that you do and stay away from. For the interior, make sure you're either just using a damp cloth for anything that's carpet, basically. So just some water and a damp cloth to wipe off spills or messes. They do sell aircraft interior cleaner, so make sure that you use the right stuff, or it can discolor, or it can weaken, or even, especially the flooring, if you get some cleaners on there that are not for aircraft or aircraft grade cleaners for interior carpeting, it can lift the fibers up. So pretty important that you get the right stuff to stay safe. I always recommend just the water and just a nice cotton cloth. For all your dash plastic and glare shield, I recommend, again, water, cotton. You can't go wrong with that. Just a little bit of water on the cotton rag to get around and clear off most of the gunk. If you really want to get an in-depth cleaning, I recommend an aircraft grade plastic cleaner. What this does is it has a little bit of a wax in there, so it'll make it look kind of shimmering and nice, and then also it'll protect it from UV light. However, if you don't use this or don't want to use this, 9 times out of 10, and what I do is 9 times out of 10, just a little bit of water and a cotton rag, and you can get around all these little areas here. Just be aware that if you do use any type of cleaner that you want to avoid, if I can find any, there we go, any dash stickers. After a while, if you keep doing that, it'll start chipping away at them. It'll take a while, but stay safe. Unless you have some type of real big nasty bit in there, you want to just stick with water and a towel. Make sure also that you're getting the inside of the windows. A lot of times, especially the front windshield there, you'll go up to grab something and you'll hit the windshield, so you'll have fingerprints and all kinds of nastiness. So make sure to use either a little bit of water and a microfiber cloth, or you use the glass cleaner or a glass cleaner. You want to make sure again that it is for glass and plastic windows, and that it is for aviation use. So pretty important there. So one of the things to look out for too is these panels. Usually they're made out of plastic. There are a few large panels that hold the windows in or accent the plane's interior. You'll see a lot of them have the vents attached to them. So what's going on with this is, to make these panels look better, a lot of people paint them, and that's totally fine. It makes it look great. You just tape it off. It's a cheap way to make your panels look really nice. However, you want to be aware of this when you start cleaning, because if you use regular water and a towel, you can remove a lot of stuff. However, when you go to interior cleaners, a lot of them will actually degrade that paint. So you'll start putting some cleaner on there, you'll wipe it away, and you'll notice that the paint will start deteriorating and you're going to be rubbing it off. So I always say, to be safe for interior cleaning with these panels, you just want to use a little bit of water and a nice cotton towel. If you do go to the interior plastic cleaners, that's totally fine. Just make sure that your panels are not painted. So I've seen this once before, and I'm going to bring it up because of that. So my aircraft has the little fairings on there. They're for decoration, and supposedly it gives you a little bit better performance. Yeah. But if I didn't have those, you would see just the tire, right? I have seen, yes, I have actually seen this, someone put tire shine on these wheels. Don't do it. That's all I'm saying. So another thing that I can recommend and strongly suggest not doing, actually, is make sure that you don't just run your plane up. So the story behind this one is I asked a few pilots, hey guys, what do you do to wash off your plane, right? And one of them said the easiest way to do it is when it rains, taxi your plane out, just run up your engine. Well, I thought at first, hey, that's not a bad idea. It's raining, that's just water, whatever. However, you're running up your plane, And all that gunk and junk that's sitting around the taxiway there, that is just smashing into the back of your plane. So do not do that. It may be tempting while it's raining to run up your engine. Just don't do it. There's too many bad things that could possibly happen. Your prop can get dinged by rocks. Your tail can get hit by flying debris. So not a good idea. So strongly suggest, if you're lazy, just don't wash your plane that day.